Nowhere to go in these dead-end streets, except for prison or the graveyard for those that sleep. Give your life to the Lord, pray your soul he keeps. For those trapped in the hood, I hope this one could reach. Nowhere to go in these dead-end streets, except for prison or the graveyard for those that sleep. Give your life to the Lord, pray your soul he keeps. For those trapped in the hood, I hope this one could reach.
1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Just make sure I got these levels right. Yeah. You're now rocking with the one and only Quay City Artist. It's another episode of Grown Man Talk, Season 2. Special shout out to everyone who's been rocking out with the podcast. I appreciate you. Thank you all for tapping in with me, This is truly dope that you support this. All right, in this episode, I want to call it Dead End Streets. As you know, with this podcast is more geared to and focused on our youth today, our young men in particular, that may be caught up in, the street life and they think it's all, glitz and glamour and gold and all that, but that's not the case. I just want to give you all a little insight onto how to make better choices and better options, It's not a secret that I come from the other side of the tracks, I come from that lifestyle. And by the grace of God, I was able to make it out. I'm seeing a lot of young men nowadays that think it's cool to die young, that think it's a cool thing to, to just die at an early age and not live to see your life fully, progress and to prosper on the other things. I remember when I was like in my early 20s, like I'm talking about between the age of 21 and 25, I felt like I had lived a long time. I felt like I had already experienced all that life had to offer. I felt as if life itself was like, it couldn't get any better. Yo, that was loud. Let me turn that down. Yeah. I felt like life itself couldn't get any better. It was nothing more for me, man, until I really actually started living life. Then I realized, man, I didn't have a clue. I was so young then, so young. That's why they say there's a saying that goes the youth is wasted on the young. You know what I mean? Because when you're young, you don't realize that there's so much, your whole life is ahead of you. And you just think right now is right now. I know for me, I didn't live thinking about down the line future, what the future was going to hold, what the future was like, what it had in store for me. I didn't think that. I was only focused on what was going on around me. And my heart breaks for these young men right now, man, because they're out here really dying young and they think it's cool. They think that's the goal. I'm gonna live free and die young. That's what it is. And that's not it, man. That's not it, man. I was fortunate enough to have people that was praying over me, have people that actually was praying for me while I was out in the midst of my madness and my insanity. People was out there praying for me that I would, live a better life one day and turn my life around. And the Lord used whatever it took by any means to get a hold of me. I used to be afraid to pray, right? Because when I used to pray, I used to like really pray, not just like a real quick prayer, but like really get in God's face, get in God's presence and really try to pray when I was in the streets. I would end up in jail. I would end up locked up, man. And I used to be afraid to pray. I used to like, nah, I ain't praying because when I pray, I go to jail. But the Lord was using that as a way to sit me down, to humble me, to grab a hold of me and get my attention. And then when I be in jail, I always be coming across somebody that was mad wise. I'd always be coming across a wise old head that be dropping gems on me. And, sometimes I took heed, sometimes other times I didn't, man. I mean? But as life started to to progress, and I started getting older, and I got tired of repeating the cycle. I got tired of doing the same thing over and over again. I got tired of the back and forth, in and out of jail, in and out of institutions and stuff like that. And it just felt like, man, this is not what I want my life to amount to. This is not what I want to be. Once I started being locked up with people that was mad older than me, once I started being incarcerated with those type of people, and I see the regret in their face of how many years they wasted giving to that system, then that's when it started to dawn on me. That's when I started to realize, like, yo, you're making a real mistake here. And what really hurt, right, and things began to change in my life was when I got locked up and my daughter. Oh man, that really hurt. That really hurt. Because as when you going through the streets and stuff like that, you want something better for your kids. You want the most for your kids. You don't want the same old thing that you went through, the same old experiences and all of that, right? So it's when I heard them doors slam behind me, I realized it was real. I realized that, yo, I gotta do something different, man. I gotta do something different because this is not what I want for my kid. And it took for me to be sat down for 3 years before I realized, like, yo, this is for real out here, man. What you gonna do? Like, what you gonna do? You can't keep running the same race. You can't keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. I learned across in my journey that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Like, oh, I'm gonna go get money. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. And it was just like, it was like a constant. It was a constant. What's that called? Hamster wheel. It's a constant hamster wheel doing that, man. And here I am now, in my 40s, in my early 40s. And now I'm really starting to really live life like yeah. And I wish I would have been caught on. I spent half of my 30s. The latter part of my 30s repairing the damage that I did to my life in my 20s. You know what I'm saying? Trying to fix that, what I did. And even my early part of my 30s and stuff like that. Yeah, still paying for mistakes that I did in my early 20s. You feel me? Yeah, that's because that stuff sticks with you for a long time. And it was I had got to a point where I was thinking that the damage was irreversible. For real, I was starting to feel like I couldn't reverse none of this. I was feeling like, oh man, this is what it is for me. I might as well just go back. I might as well just stay back. You know what I'm saying? And I was wrong because the damage is irreversible. The damage is reversible. As long as you stay focused and do what you got to do, it's going to be rough. It's rough. It's difficult, man. It's hard. It's not easy. I'm not going to even sugarcoat you. Like, yo, it's easy to turn your life around. That's an easy thing. It's not. It's hard. You're going to go through many trials and tribulations when you're trying to do what's right because the enemy don't want you to do what's right, especially if you really out there living it. You know what I'm saying? If you really out there on the front lines, putting in work, you know what I'm saying? The devil don't want you to leave that lifestyle, man. Let me explain something to you, man. There's going to be people that you're going to have to cut off. There's going to be people that you're going to have to not deal with no more, that you're going to have to love from a distance, right? You're going to have to love them from a distance because their mentality may not be shifted like yours. They may still be on demon time, as they say. They may still be on demon time. And you just because you living for God or God is getting a hold and changing your life, they may not understand that until later, until it's time for them to understand it, right? What hurt me really deep, that really made me realize that I can't go back, is when my best friend, my cousin, he died in jail. When I lost Damon in jail, that changed a lot of my mentality because I still was like in a place where my life was changing, but I still had reservations in my head like, yo, if this job don't work, I could still go do this. Yo, if this, you know what I'm saying, doesn't pan out, I always could go back to the block. I know where I could always go get work from. You know what I'm saying? I always know I could go do this, do that, and the third if this don't work. But when he died in jail, that really changed my perspective on it, man. I changed my perspective on life itself. For real. Because I was looking at it like, man, and he was in his 40s. Damon was older than me. He was in his 40s. And the streets took him. Actually, we lost him to cancer, but he was locked up. He was locked up when he found out he had cancer. He didn't know that while he was running the streets, because, right, let's be real. When you run in the streets, you're not thinking about going to the doctor or none of that. You're not thinking about taking care of your health. Most of us that's in the streets don't even got good health care. Most of us that's in the streets, mostly everybody that's in the streets don't got good health care. They don't got health care. A lot of people don't got life insurance, don't got benefits, don't got nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's what they say when people go to jail to get their teeth fixed. That's real talk. I got my teeth fixed in jail. You know what I'm saying? Until I come home and get my life together, then I got this thing called health insurance. And life insurance is another thing. I mean, it's sad when people die young outside, right? When you die young because you don't got nothing in order. You living from day to day. Most people don't got nothing in order, yo. So when you think about it, right? You running outside on demon time doing whatever it is you want to do. But then you end up getting yourself killed, right? And then when you get yourself killed, that becomes somebody else's burden now to bury you. That becomes somebody said, not only do they got to grieve for you, not only do they have to be grieving for you, but now they gotta take care of your arrangements and all of that now. Now they gotta deal with all of that too. They gotta deal with all of that. And that's not an easy task. That's not easy. It's expensive. It's not cheap. It costs money to die. Dying ain't free. Dying ain't free. Especially when you die unexpectedly and prematurely. That's not free, man. That's a bill somebody gonna have to pay. For real. Soon as you close your eyes, everything start adding up. They everything. They got your autopsy fee, the medical examiner fee, storage of your body fee. That's not. We're not even talking about funeral yet. Your death certificate fee. Everything is a fee once you die. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to go on to funeral, caskets, cremation. You know what I'm saying? All of that costs money. And I'm not talking about a couple $100. That's thousands of dollars. At least 7,000. At least at minimum, at least 7,000. That your people got a week to come up with. A week. You know what I'm saying? So when Damon passed in jail, he didn't have no life insurance. He didn't have no plan. You know what I'm saying? He didn't expect to be having cancer. Go to jail, find out, yo, you got a couple more months to live, if that. Nobody have that. Thank God that I was serving God and doing the right things. That my pastor at the time knew a mortician. For those that may not know, a mortician is the person that does the funeral. That does take care of your remains at the funeral, before the funeral. He knew a mortician who was a man of God, and on the strength of my pastor, Link connected me with him. They went to go get his remains and cremate him for us. You know what I'm saying? Because if the jail, when you die in jail, they give your family 24 hours to come claim your remains. I don't care where the jail is. The jail could be 3 days away from you. You got 24 hours to get somebody up there to clean your remains, or else they're gonna bury you in the cemetery in the back of the jail, outside. Just put you in the ground. Have inmates dig a ground, or if they ain't got space to bury you in the jail graveyard, they're gonna just cremate you and dispose of your ashes. It's really foul. Like, you know what I'm saying? So the mortician was gracious enough to stop what he was doing to go up there to the jail, claim my cousin's remains, and cremate him for us, and didn't want nothing in return. You know what I'm saying? Didn't even want nothing. Just like, yo, here, sorry for your loss. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, big, yo. That was big that his people was able to get that, man. Because some people don't get that. Some people ain't fortunate enough to have that, man. So you got to be mindful of when you out here running the streets and doing what's not going to cost somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Or even if it's not that extreme, if you just going to jail. Like, I know brothers in their 40s right now, catching 20-year bids in their 40s. In their 40s, catching 20-year bids. Come on, man. Come on. After they already done did bids, they already done did 5 years, 10 years, a year here, 3 years there. You know what I'm saying? Now in their 40s, catching a fresh 20 piece. Man, listen. These streets is cold. They don't love nobody. Ain't no successful drug dealers. I don't care how many, ain't no success. I don't care how they may glamorize it, how these rappers may glamorize it, how social media may try to glamorize Kingpin coming home after 20-something years. Ain't nothing glamorous about that. That's 2 decades of your life you'll never get back. 2 decades of your life you'll never get back. Forget about that. There's nothing cool about it, man. There's no such thing as a successful street dude. You know what I'm saying? I know a brother in his 50s. Just caught a dime. In his 50s. And it goes on. I know people in their 60s that still catching bids and stuff like that. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So I wanted to make this for these young brothers, man. For these young cats out here, man, that's thinking that it's lit right now. I got my whole life ahead of me. You don't have your whole life ahead of you. Before you know it, time goes by. Before you know it, 10 years go by. Before you know it, 50. When you out here on these streets, when you moving and grooving out here on these streets, 10 years go by fast. But when you sitting behind that wall in jail, stressing about everything under the sun, everything that's out of your control, kids, your girl, commissary, jail politics, what's going on right in front of you inside the jail, all kind of stuff going on, time goes by slow. I don't care how cool these brothers make it look, man. I don't care how real they make it look. Nah, the real men are out here in these streets taking care of their family. That's what the real men are out here doing. Going back and forth to jail, that's not your only option. See, that's the thing. I used to think that was my only option. I used to think that's all I had to do was run the streets. That's all I had available at my disposal. Until I got older and started living life and started realizing, yo, I could do this. Yo, I could do that. I got other options available to me. Man, I need to try this. I need to do that. See, people perish because they have lack of knowledge. That's the word. People perish because they have lack of knowledge. If you don't know that you could do this, that's why I like to try to use my platform to give wise words to these young brothers. Yo, there's so much more out there you can do, man. There's so much more out there you can do. We killing ourselves. We our own worst enemy. Everybody like to say, yo, the white man keeping his foot on us, the white man doing this, that, and the third, which is true to a certain extent. But for the most part, we doing it for them. We doing it for them. It feel good. It feel good when I be out driving, because I got a license now, right? When I be out driving with my license and the police pull up next to me and I ain't even thinking them. They ain't even worried about me. I ain't even worried about them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even worried about them as far as oh, I got stuff in the car, I gotta be nervous, or you know what I'm saying, or have to worry about getting pulled over. I ain't worried about them. I ain't got nothing to hide. I ain't got nothing. That lifestyle is behind me. I'm way past that, man. I'm way past that, yo. Be out driving, cut a cop off because he's driving too slow. And get out the way. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with that. Like, I do that on a regular. If I'm driving a cop driving mad slow, yo, get out the way, man. What you doing? It's like you cutting the cops off. For real. On the highway doing 70, 80 on the highway, I ain't even care, man. Because, like, my life is legit now. I don't got those worries, man. I go to sleep peacefully at night. I sleep next to my wife. I go to bed peacefully, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to worry about those problems no more, man. About somebody kicking the door in and, you know what I mean, warrants and stuff like that, man. Yeah, man. Because I used to never have my address on nothing. I never used to have my address. I never had my address on my ID. I always had somebody else's address on my ID because if they go in the system and get your information, they go to somebody else's house, then I get a phone call, yo, the police was over here looking for you. Oh, that's how I know, oh, they looking for me. Because they go somebody else's house looking for me. So, you know what I mean? I Yo, listen, man. For real, I pray for these young brothers out here, man. I pray for you young brothers that's still in these trenches, man. I pray that you guys are able to have a fortunate enough to get an awakening, to get a wake-up call like I did. Like I was fortunate to get. You know what I'm saying? I pray for that, man, because you're not promised tomorrow. You're not promised tomorrow. Yeah, man, so that's all I want to do today. I just realized on my camera right here that I was looking at the whole time. I did not press record on that. Yes, I did that. So I'll probably have to do this again. Somehow, some way. This is Grown Man Talk, Quasi the Artist. Appreciate y'all for hanging out. Peace, love, and hair grease.